Hello, everyone, and welcome to Gauntlet Community Open Gaming in March of 2022. My name is Mike, my pronouns are he, him, and I'll be the game master for Punk's Been Dead Since '79. This is a little powered by the apocalypse game by, I clicked away from it. The author was, I had it in my head and it disappeared. Jef Lewis is the author of this game. And it's available for purchase from both DriveThru and Itch. It's only $2, and I think it's worth every penny. So a little bit about myself. I've been a member of the Gauntlet since 2018. Joined in, I think, January 2018. Played a bit for the first year, and then in 2019, I started GMing. In 2020, when the pandemic hit, I started GMing pretty extensively. I've been not every week, but I've been running a game on the Gauntlet nearly every week ever since. I really enjoy the Gauntlet. For those who are not in the know, the Gauntlet is an online role-playing gaming community. We've got a couple of hundred active members. We post about 100 games a month on our regular calendar. Games are free and open to anyone to join. Although those who support the Gauntlet through our Patreon do get advanced access to the calendar. So it's a little easier for Patreon subscribers to get into games initially. If you're not on the Patreon and you want to join a game, I really recommend hopping on the wait list. It is rare for me to run a game and not pull in at least someone from the wait list. 2 or 3 or sometimes 4 times a year, we run an open community. We run an open community gaming event. That's what this game is part of. Where we open the Gauntlet calendar to people from outside of the community to come on in and see what we do. The Gauntlet also has, we also have a public forums. We are a podcast network. We've got a daily blog. We've got old school forums. And we also publish an award-winning bi-monthly gaming magazine called Codex. Again, those who subscribe to the Patreon can get Codex as part of your membership. A few months after it's posted, they're also available for sale on DriveThruRPG. So a little bit about myself. I've been playing role-playing games for a long time. I started way back in 1981, cut my teeth on the Tom Moldvay edition of the D&D Basic and Expert set. Played a lot of D&D in the 80s, played a lot of GURPS in the 90s, played a lot of D&D 3rd edition in the aughts, switched to Pathfinder, played that through the first half of the teens. And then I fell into a group that was playing this weird little indie hippie game called Dungeon World. And Dungeon World was my introduction to the world of powered by the apocalypse games specifically and indie games in general. And it kind of it opened my brain to a new way of playing RPGs, which really synergized with my typical style. So I kind of dove into the deep end of the indie RPG pool then, and that's mostly what I've been playing ever since. Okay, so I've talked about myself a bit. Let's go around the table. And if you would introduce yourself, let us know your name, your pronouns, any history you might have with the Gauntlet, a little bit about your RPG history, and anything else you want to say. Let's go clockwise as I have you on my screen here. So Conan, would you introduce yourself, please?
Hey, hello. You can call me Conan. Can you hear me well, first of all?
Yes.
Great. I'm not a native English speaker, so if I mispronounce something, don't make sense, or say something strange, please ask me for clarification. I've been playing role-playing games for a long time. I had a very long gap for a few years, and then I found indie games, and that sparked again interest. I then had a long gap again because I had no one to play with. And now I found this, well, with the pandemic and all that, spending so much time at home, I found this as an opportunity to start it again and find people that also like it.
Well, welcome. Your English is far better than I can speak either of the two language. I can kind of maybe muddle through a little bit of, but glad to have you aboard. This is cool. I may be mispronouncing your name, Donogh. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, thanks. My name is Donogh. My pronouns are he, him. I think I'm coming up on 6 years with Gauntlet. I love open weekends, chance to play with new people, get them involved in the community. Let me think. My first RPG, I think, would have been in about 1990. I entered the hobby through MERP, Middle Earth Role Playing. I didn't get to play D&D until college, but I guess by that time I was firmly getting into the Vampire the Masquerade and all of that family of White Wolf games. I'm not sure what my gateway game for indie gaming would be. Maybe Kill Puppies for Satan, or I don't know. I can't remember exactly. The convention scene is an opportunity to play too many games I've never heard of. So yeah, and I've never played this game before, but I've played a bunch of Power Play pop-ups. So excited to see what we have in store today.
I'm glad to have you aboard. I'm trying to remember who wrote Kill Puppies for Satan. I forgot whether that was Jason Morningstar.
I think that was Vincent Baker.
Vincent Baker, yeah. Vincent Baker, the same guy who came up with Apocalypse World. Fantastic. Keith, would you introduce yourself, please?
Absolutely. My name is Keith. I use the he, him pronouns. I have no idea how long I've been involved with the Gauntlet. Time has become absolute mush the past several years. I do know I started role-playing with the Redbox D&D, was super into it, as you can only be when you are that age, just totally immersed in it, and kind of fell out of it as time passed and taste changed. Then got back into it in my late 20s, and then found indie games and realized that GMing could actually be fun, which it never was for all those trad games for me. And that got me into doing a lot more stuff. The whole pandemic thing has really sapped my energy for playing, so it's not been nearly as consistent since then. So I've been trying to find little times like this to get on and do something that sounds interesting. And I saw the pitch for this game and thought, yeah, that could be a really fun thing to try out.
Fantastic. Glad to have you. And Tori, would you please introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Tori. I use any and all pronouns, so use whatever you'd like. So I joined Gauntlet last year, so relative newbie. Haven't played in the regular games yet, but played in the last GCOG and opened with 7 games and doing another 7 this con. So this is my second to last one. So a little tapped, but still really excited for this game, especially since I read that this game would do really well for a scenario I want to run, hacking Letterkenny, if anyone knows that show. So if you don't and you like comedy that's somewhat dry but insanely smart, look it up on Hulu. Not a sponsor. But RPGs, I actually got into them pretty late. In college, I did, standard D&D. And my first indie was 10 Candles. And I was very confused on, wait, I could
That's
do
a heavy one.
Yeah, I didn't understand, like, wait, I don't need a skill to roll to do stuff. Like coming from D&D to go into something like freeform and narrative, it was very different. But since then, expanding out and doing a lot of different stuff, especially with GCOG, all of the different offerings that they put up. So getting my feet wet with a lot of new things, and it's been fun.
Well, glad to have you. Yeah, this is my this is going to be my last game for this GCOG. I ran 3 games. I was supposed to run a 4th, but I had a thing come up. So I wasn't able to run Storm Riders, which was the game of 1980s Saturday morning cartoons and the people who love them. I unfortunately had to pull that off from the calendar. and I've only played in one. I was supposed to play in another game this afternoon, but again, I had to pull that one. And of course, this weekend I had like other regular games on my regular calendar. So yeah, I've been playing a lot of games this weekend. Anyway, so welcome everybody. Glad to have you all with us. So how I want to structure this game. We've done introductions. I'm going to go over. I'm going to basically give the elevator pitch of this game just to make sure that we're all here to play the same game. Then we'll talk about We'll talk about the safety practices we're going to be using for the game. Then we'll get into character creation. That will probably take about an hour. After that, I'll call our first break. Then we'll come back and we'll introduce our characters. I'll introduce the scenario and we'll start going. Speaking of breaks, I'll try to call a break around the top of every hour. This game is scheduled to go 4 hours. I'm expecting that we'll probably need all 4. But if we come to a great conclusion before that, we'll just end it. That's the nice thing about story games. You go with where the fiction tells you. So we're playing Punk's Been Dead since '79. So this is a slice of life role playing game about people in the many punk communities that existed and still exist to this day in rural parts of the United States. This is a very U.S. focused game. I know we've got a couple of people that aren't from the U.S., but please bear with us. This is a kind of a looking back game. The game is designed to be played. The game is designed to be set sometime between the late '90s and early aughts. And in this game, players go to shows, find a place to belong, look for companionship, get into fights, and maybe even make some music. So the first thing I like to do whenever I start a new game is and before I go on, I have never played this game before. So I think none of us have. I heard about this game on the One Shot podcast network, where they play 2 or 3 where they play a whole lot of different like little indie games. And I think One Shot did Punk's Been Dead. I think that show was either in January or February. I'd never heard of the game before, and it just sounded like so much fun. So here we are. And if you want to pick up the game, it's on both Itch and DriveThru, and it's only $2, and I think it's worth every penny. So the first thing I like to do is to go through a little exercise called CATS. That stands for concept, aim, tone, and subject matter, where it's kind of the elevator pitch of the game. And it's just a way to make sure that we're all here to play the same game. So the concept of this game is a slice of life RPG about rural punks living their lives in the late 1990s. The aim of this game is to tell a compelling story about these people, their dreams, and their music. The tone of this game. So I want to go for a mostly realistic story about young punks in a particular time and place. And I'll just tell you the scenario I'm going to run. The particular time is October of 1998, and the place is rural Ohio. So that's the time and place we're doing. If this were a movie, it would probably get a moderate R rating for language, potential violence, and possible sexual situations. These are young. This is a story about young people, and sometimes there's and the shenanigans they get up to. And for subject matter, this is subject matter / like content warnings, angst, horticulture, youth, dreams, desperation, possible violence, music, and foul language. I'm going to mention language because the game as printed throws the F word around a lot, including one of your stats is fuck. Anyway, just wanted to put that out there that we're gonna be using some we're gonna be using some pretty coarse language in this game. Also about the system, so this is a Powered by the Apocalypse game, although it uses a non-standard dice mechanic. So we'll go over that a little bit. And I think we've got a couple of players that aren't super familiar with Powered by the Apocalypse, so I'll take some time to just talk about playing a PBTA game and a little bit of, so like the dice mechanics, how it works, and how it might be a little different from traditional games like, say, D&D or Call of Cthulhu or something. Any questions about cats before we move on? Okay. Does everyone have a link to the character keeper? No. Okay. Let me pop it in. Oh, you've got it. Okay, cool. That should go to Google Sheets. So yeah, I was surprised there was no character keeper for Punk's Been Dead in the Gauntlet Play Aids folder, so I made one. So I threw this together in about an hour last night. So hopefully it makes sense. We are the first people to use it. So on the character keeper, if you could click over to the Safety and Resources tab, we're going to have a little talk about emotional safety at the role-playing game table. So we're a bunch of strangers or near strangers that are getting together to play a game of Let's Pretend over the internet. And the purpose of this is to have fun. But whenever we play a role-playing game, we're putting our emotional selves on the table, and we're bringing our own life experiences to this as we look at the world and live vicariously through the eyes of our characters. And sometimes the emotional situation that happens to your character can affect your emotions as a player. LARPers call that bleed, and it's a real thing. Also, each of us have a different set of life experiences. Things that might be absolutely fine for you to talk to, I might have a big problem with, or I might have some really bad experiences around them and don't really want to bring those situations into a game where I'm trying to have fun. Safety tools are a way that we can maybe put bounds around some things that we don't want to bring to the table. It also gives us some tools to use in case we do step on a metaphorical landmine and we go to places that just don't make us feel comfortable. So yeah, so safety tools, they're here to enhance the fun and to keep the not so great stuff aside. So in that light, we're going to be playing with 3 safety tools. We're taking a layered approach. The first one I want to talk about is called Open Door. And Open Door is a tool about it's got 2 aspects. First of all, it's about each of our individual personal physical comfort. And it's also an acknowledgement that life happens and life is more important than this game we're playing on the internet. So under Open Door, it's pretty simple. Anyone can come and go as they please. Anyone can step away for any reason at any time. Anyone can call a break to the game at any time. And finally, if the other thing about Open Door is if we've started to play and you come to the conclusion that this game is not for you, it is absolutely 100% okay to say, you know what, I'm gonna step out. I hope the rest of you have fun, but I'm gonna go do something else. To which the rest of us say, okay, cool. Glad we had a chance to play with you. Hope we can play again at some point in the future. Because not every game is for everyone. Any questions about Open Door? The next tool we are going to be playing with is called Lines and Veils. This is a tool that was invented by RPG designer Ron Edwards back in the mid-aughts for his game Sorcerer. Lines and Veils are a way to take to basically call out particular subject matters and say that we either don't want to deal with these particular subject matters at all, or we only want to deal with them in like very limited context. So on the Safety and Resources tab, I've got a number of subject matters that people may have issues with and not want to have to deal with in a game. And there's 3 columns there: line, veil, and ask first. If something is lined, it means we aren't going to deal with it in the game. We're just going to ignore it. It's not going to happen. I won't bring it up. You won't bring. the other players won't bring it up. I'm not playing from a published adventure here really, but if I was running a published adventure and there was something like that in the adventure, I as the GM would take it out and replace it with something else. A veil is a subject matter that we can acknowledge happens in the world. We may find signs that it happens in the world. We may find someone who reports that this thing has happened. Or it may be something that we'll just like cut away and not deal with because it's not going to happen on camera. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen to any of the player characters. And finally, there is a third column, which is a recent addition to the Lines and Veils called Ask First, which is simply, you may be okay with this subject matter in some circumstances and not in others, in which case, if this subject is going to come up, we're going to step out of character, have an out of character discussion about what parameters we want to put this particular subject matter under. So I am going to pause the recording so we can talk about our lines and veils, because this is for us. It's not for public view. So I'm going to pause this and I will return once we have our lines and veils. All right, we have set up some lines and veils. I have copied them onto a stick note that I have floating on the top of my, on all of my other windows. So hopefully I will not take my eye off of that ball. The third and final safety tool I want to talk about is called the X card. The X card is a reactive safety tool, which we can invoke when anything else is happening in the game that makes us feel uncomfortable. When that happens, when anything, if and when anything happens in the game that you don't feel good about, you can say this, just say the phrase X card. If we're on camera, which most of us are, you can make a gesture if you want to. You could say something in the Zoom chat window. Try to keep an eye on that, although saying something verbally is probably going to get my attention a little better. When you invoke the X card, you are telling the table that there's something happening that you're not comfortable with in this game. That could be something that happens within the context of the game itself, whether that's some like a situation or a thing that's happening like in our fiction that you don't want to have happen. Invoke the X card. It could also be something that happens between the players, and if there's behavior from one of the other players that you're not comfortable with, invoke the X card. When you invoke the X card, we're going to pause the game. Let us know what's going on that you don't want to see in the game. You do not have to tell us why, but we do need to know what, so that we can fix things. So when you invoke the X card, we're going to pause the game. We're going to have a little chat to figure out what's going on, what we need to remove, and how best to move forward. That could be something like, for example, I've introduced an NPC, and the name of that NPC happened to be the same name as the bully who used to beat you up when you were in 4th grade, and you absolutely hate that name. Well, you know what? This character doesn't really exist, and we can call them anything we want. So I'll go in and we'll give them a different name. Or it could be like this plot's going into a direction that I don't really want to see it go in. Invoke the X card and let us know your concerns, and we'll steer the fiction in a different direction. It could be something that's happening out of game, like if another player is regularly getting your name wrong, getting your pronouns wrong, or is talking over you, or is cutting you off. Invoke the X card. We'll have a chat about that, and we'll we'll correct that behavior and move on. Two other things I do like to call about another thing I like to call about the X card. I do want to underscore that you can invoke the X card for things that happen out of the game, like between the players. The other thing is, if something happens in the game that you don't feel great about, didn't really want to break the flow, so you let it slide, and then the same thing happens later, it is 100% okay to X card something after it comes up, after you've let it. It's okay to X card something on its 2nd or 3rd or 4th appearance if you didn't really like it, but you didn't feel so good. So even though something's already happened in the game, it's okay to X card it if it comes up again. I think that's it on the X card. Did anyone have any questions on any of these safety tools? One other thing, this isn't exactly a safety tool, but this is the appropriate place to talk about it. If something happens to me, like I suddenly freeze, and maybe the meeting drops, or I look concernedly to my left and take my headphones off and step off camera without saying anything. That might indicate that there's something going on in my real life, and that I need to take care of something. Or if I freeze or go away or something like that, that might mean that I perhaps have lost internet or electricity. If something like that happens to me and I'm gone for more than 10 minutes, assume the game is over and just take the rest of this time for yourself. If something does happen, I'll do my best to let you know what's going on. But I wish I could say this has never happened, but in the past couple of years, I have lost power in the middle of a game before and had to end the game that way. Yeah, hopefully it won't happen, but I just want to say, so kind of like in college, if you show up for a lecture and the prof doesn't show for 10 minutes, the general rule of thumb is if the prof is more than 10 minutes late, class is canceled, and go on with the rest of your day. Any questions before we move on? Okay, this concludes our safety tools discussion. So let's talk about this game. The Punk's Been Dead is a Powered by the Apocalypse game. Powered by the Apocalypse is that is a game design framework that was started with Vincent Baker's game Apocalypse World, which has been out for close to I think that came out in 2009, 2010, something like that. So it's been out for so PBTA games have been out for about 12 years or so. They're a major force in indie games. They've really influenced a lot of thought about game design, specifically in the indie space. So PBTA games are a narrative or fiction first game. So, and also PBTA games are a conversation. So in a lot of traditional games, you are pretty much only experiencing the world through the eyes of your characters. The GM only presents things from your character's perspective, and you're only supposed to use your in-character knowledge. That's not the case in a PBTA game. In a PBTA game, the game is a conversation. The purpose of this game is to tell an interesting story about these characters and to learn about these characters, and to have them make interesting decisions. And what is an interesting decision from your perspective as a player might be very different from what is interesting from the perspective of the character. And in this case, there will be many times where you will be making decisions for your character from the perspective of your character. There'll be other times that you as the player will be making decisions about the direction the story is going to go as a player. So you'll be constantly hopping back and forth between looking at the world through the eyes of your character and looking at the game from the eyes of a player of a game. So there are some moves that, there's for example, there are situations where I'll talk about moves in a minute. There are moves which, may have a pick list of things. That's you as the player picking the thing that you are most interested in seeing happen. This isn't a decision that your character is making. This is a decision that you as a player are making. So it's kind of one big difference in mindset in playing a PBTA game versus a traditional game. Moves. So another big thing about PBTA games are called moves. Moves are where the game mechanics intersect with the story. So in a PBTA game, most of it is free role playing, and that's pretty much the same as in any traditional game where you're telling us what the character, or generally, I, the GM, will set the situation. I'll ask what you do. You, as the player, will tell us what your character does. That's going to change the fictional situation. Based on that fictional situation, I, as the GM, will make the world react to your action, which will create a new fictional situation. I will then say, "What do you do?" And that's how the game progresses. I present a fictional situation. You tell us how you react. I react. New fictional situation. That's how the story progresses. Moves are where the game mechanics intersect to the play. Moves are pretty much always structured as when you blank, then blank. So when you do something in the fiction that triggers the move happens, we will engage the game mechanics. And the moves are designed to tell the kind of story that this game is designed to tell. That's another thing about PBTA design. It's not a general purpose game engine like, say, like the D20 engine or the GURPS engine or the Fate engine. PBTA games are specifically designed to tell a specific kind of story. And the moves are how we reinforce those genre conventions and the bounds around which the narrative. You can certainly go off and do different stuff, but once you start going to do things that the game isn't really designed to do, then you're not really playing the game as designed. Like, for example, in Punk's Been Dead Since '79, this is a slice of life game about rural punks living their lives, going to shows, making some music, getting into trouble. It's not a game about knocking over liquor stores. I mean, yeah, it's certainly possible in the game that you might want to rob a liquor store. That's not what this game is about. And so it doesn't have moves about like threatening violence like threatening violence or stealing things or running away from the cops. That's not really part of what this game is. We can do it if we want to, but then that's not really what this game is. And so we don't have moves that really reinforce that. Any questions about PBTA play before we go on? We'll get into it. It'll make more sense once we get in. So if you're going to click on the rules overview tab, just a couple of things. Most but not all PBTA games have a game mechanic where when you engage the mechanics and you roll a move, you normally roll 2d6, you add a stat, and then you look at the result. And generally, a 6 or less is a miss, which means what you wanted to do didn't work the way you intended to, and the fiction changes in a way which is not in the best interest of your character. A 7 to 9 is if you get a 7 or higher, it's a success, and what you want to happen happens. A 7 to 9 means you get a success, but there's a complication. And if you get a 10 or higher, it's a full success. Those number ranges are still the same, but the way Punk's Been Dead works is instead of your stats are the number of dice you throw rather than a modifier you add. So if you have 2 in a stat, that means you're throwing 2 dice and you're adding them together. If your stat is 3, you'll throw 3 dice and choose which numbers you want to add together. Generally, you're going to want to add the highest 2 for a better success. There may be times that you might want to fail. That is totally okay. And everyone's going to have one stat that's at 4 dice, and there's a few moves that might give you an extra die on your next roll. So at most, you'll be rolling 5 dice. So again, you roll 5. So you roll that number of dice. You look at and you pick the 2 results that you rolled to add together. Generally, that's going to be the highest 2 numbers you rolled. There are occasionally times where you'll be told to roll 1 fewer dice on your next move, but if that was going to be 2, you still only roll 2. You're never going to roll fewer than 2 dice. And I know some games have a disadvantage mechanic where you roll 3 dice and you throw out the high number. This game doesn't have that. So even if you're at a disadvantage and you're at 2 dice and you're told to roll 1 fewer die, you still roll 2 dice. Okay, let's so there's a couple. So yeah, let's click on the characters tab, and let's figure out who our punks are. So so this is so like I said, this game is taking place in Central Ohio. The year it is October of 1998, and I'm going to tell you what the plot is. So the plot is I'm going to read it from the. So this is an adventure scenario that's in the book. It's actually the same scenario that they used for that one-shot podcast I listened to. The Van Wert Vfw Hall. VFW halls are the quintessential punk venue for the majority of the 1990s. It's got air conditioning, a functional concession booth, and enough space that the mosh pit doesn't bleed into the seating. Most shows here are moderately sized, usually 5 or so bands, but every October, the Northwest Ohio Battle of the Bands, or NOBOB for short, are held here. Any band can enter the competition, from which 10 bands are chosen to play by a group of older punks called the Organization. So the nobobs have gotten bigger every year, but this year is going to be the most ostentatious yet. For starters, the show is going to be before sunset this year. There's going to be an opening performance by last year's winner, which was the Riot Girl band, Betty Whitesnake. There's going to be an intragender wet t-shirt contest. Supposedly, the organization's founder, Mathis, is offering a $1,000 top prize as well as a paid live performance on the area's top pop rock radio station, 98.7 The Pipe. Every band in the area has applied for this year. There were nearly 60 bands in total. So this year's Nobobs is rife with drama. The two best bands in the area, which were the Roadkill Vixens and Fuck Truck 4000, did not make the cut, and people are pissed. There's been accusations of favoritism since the organization member Blackjack's younger sister band's Uterine Hypnosis was selected, even though they've never played a gig before. Fans of the band Eraserface are staging. Fans of the band Betty Whitesnake are staging a protest, and Fuck Truck 4000 is playing a concert in a parking lot across the street from the VFW Hall, just to spite them. So the sorry, I changed the names of some of I changed the names of a couple of the bands just because I liked them better. So yeah, so Betty Whitesnake fans are staging a protest, and Fuck Truck 4000 has set up in the parking lot of the set up their own concert in the parking lot of the YMCA across the street from the VFW Hall, just to show them. But the Roadkill Vixens are the openers. Uterine Hypnosis is the sisters band of one of the organizers. So anyway, this is the situation that you know. So we are going to start play with we'll figure one of you has a car, and you're gonna be picking up the other members of you're gonna be picking up your other punk friends and heading over to the bustling metropolis of Van Wert, Ohio, population 11,000. Which is the largest city in the area. So let's do character creation. So your characters are not. So characters in this game don't have a whole lot. There's no playbook. This is a game that has you've got a character sheet, not a playbook. Everyone only has access to the basic moves. There's no playbook move. So pick your character's name and pronouns. A couple of things about the game mechanics. So you've got 5 stats, and your stats are feel, find, flesh, fight, and fuck. So feel is your emotional finesse and coordinate, and feels your emotional finesse and your coordination. Find is your perceptiveness and your insight. Flesh is your physical resilience and physical endurance. Fight is your ability to impact the world. Obviously, if you're getting into a fist fight, that would be there, but also if you are, vying for something or getting into a verbal argument with someone, that would be fight. And finally, the stat fuck is the catch-all. That means luck. So fuck is luck. It's also your sex appeal, your academics, your other stuff. Basically, if it calls for a roll and one of the other stats doesn't seem to fit, you're gonna roll fuck. You've got 2 other calculated stats. So basically, first you figure out your and for stats, assign 4 dice to 1, assign 3 dice to 2 stats, and assign 2 dice to the last 2. So you can just there's no logic. So you should have 4, 3, 3, 2, 2 for each of your stats. You've got 2 other stats which are calculated. Your face is your that's kind of your standing in the scene, and face. The people with the most face are the ones with who are the newest and have the most innovative perspectives, which generally means the youngest people. So age, so the age of your punk affects your face. The younger you are, the more face you have. And you can choose, you can be as young as 15 and you can be as old as 29, because once you turn 30, you've aged out of the scene. You know, like say ya, grandma. You do need to pick your age. That will and that will affect your starting face. Face is a currency that you can spend. You can spend a point of face to upgrade after you've rolled. You can spend a point of face to upgrade it to the next success level. So, for example, if you rolled a miss, you can spend a point of face to upgrade that to a weak hit. If you rolled a weak hit, you could spend a point of face to bring that up to a strong hit. The older you are, the less face you have, and you've got a minimum face of 1. So basically, if you're 21 or older, you're going to have a face of 1. Edge is your let me hop on the rules overview just so I make sure I got this right. Edge is your social standing in the scene, and it kind of works like hit points. Older punks have more edge than younger punks because they've been in the scene longer. So characters who are 21 and older start with an edge equal to 5 plus either 5 plus the higher of feel or flesh. Characters who are 20 and younger start with an edge of 3 plus the higher of your feel or flesh. And you don't have to do that. That's I've got logic on this page, so that'll auto calculate based on your age and your stats. The other thing that you need to choose is your punk archetype. You can be an inclusive punk or an exclusive punk. An inclusive punk thinks the scene is for everybody who wants to be a member of it. The way that works mechanically is so that'll affect the fiction of how you approach other people who may or may not be part of the punk scene. Also, if you are an inclusive punk, anytime you have a confrontation with someone else and you solve it without resorting to physical or emotional violence, you regain 2 face. If you are an exclusive punk, you think that being a punk should be hard and that only the people who earn the right should be able to call themselves a punk. So you gotta earn your way into this scene. This isn't for posers. Exclusive punks gain 2 face when they use physical or emotional violence to solve a confrontation. So you can also tell us a little bit about your look, just kind of like your general punk aesthetic. Are you an 80s punk? Are you a mall goth? Are you a riot girl? Are you straight edge? And finally, there's a stuff field. Just tell us 3 things. Tell us, this is not a game about resource management. If it makes sense for you to have a thing, you can have the thing. Tell us 3 things that are tell us 3 things about you that are, that kind of like set you apart. Like, do you have a bitchin' mohawk? Do you have, do you go everywhere with your Fender Stratocaster strapped to your back? What are the examples from? Let me read some examples from the book. Where is that stuff? I'm just going to read stuff from the book, which is, despite punk rock's anti-corporate and anti-consumerist attitude, the majority of those who follow the lifestyle are defined by superficial material possessions. Your character isn't really any different. Write down 3 items or physical characteristics of your punk. They can be anything from a bitchin' awesome mohawk to a pair of tanker boots to a 1987 Buick Park Avenue. Oh, that's the other thing. You can only I forgot about this. When you spend face to upgrade a result, you do have to invoke your stuff. So fictionally, you have to tell us why your stuff is why your stuff is letting you is increasing your standing. I set the supposed to be a top of the line. There we are. So I'm going to pause the recording while we take a few minutes to create our characters, because there's nothing more boring than watching people make characters. And we are back. During the break, something happened to life happened with Keith, and he had to open door out, at least for now. Hope he'll be able to rejoin us while we're in play. If not, we wish him the best and best of luck. So we have our characters. So why don't we go around the table and just why don't we introduce our characters? Let's go in character keeper order. Conan, would you please introduce us to your character?
Hi, yeah, sure. His name is Mark Delft. He's 15. He's quite young, and he went through some social difficulties lately. He used to hang out with some people. He used to be, yeah, I guess please cut me if I'm getting too much detail. Oh. But he used to be quite popular kid at school, hang out with some people, but his way of being liked is by picking on other people. A bit of a bully, but not so much like emotional, more an emotional bully than a physical bullying. So that's how he would make people like him. And but unfortunately, he picked on some other member of the group, and that backfired, to the point where all the rest of the group started just basically bullying him or just ignoring him. So he had to look for a new place, and he found this group of friends, the rest of the punks.
Okay.
That's the situation he's in. It happened relatively recently.
Okay. I love it. Starting with some drama. I love it. Donogh, would you please introduce us to your character, please?
Yeah, so I'll be playing Valeria, she/her, who is 18. So I guess the oldest amongst the group. Maybe still a senior in high school or just about to move on. Does not seem like your archetypical punk. Her style is a little bit all over the place. The real reason she wants to go tonight is because I think she has just been kicked out of the band, out of a band, for which she was the bass player, and maybe she wants to elbow her way back in. Yeah, so we'll see.
Awesome. That plays right into some of my starting questions, but we'll get to that in a moment. And Tori, would you please introduce us to your character?
All right, so my character is JC. So JC is street punk with a spiky black mohawk, very anti-establishment and anti-corporate media. He is 17 years old. He's inclusive punk, so he thinks that everyone should be a part of the scene, which is very different from his friends, who are a little more exclusive about the scene. He has a bodyguard. Ooh, thank you. Can you hear me now?
Much better. I didn't
There we
notice your
go.
mic was up. I thought you just turned the gain down, but that much better. Thank you.
Thanks. I totally forget sometimes. He has a bodyguard named Thomas for some reason. You guys don't really understand why this random person has a bodyguard. But
Okay.
yeah.
So basically, you've got Thomas basically. So just so we get a little more. So Thomas basically follows JC around everywhere he goes, and awesome. What does Thomas look like? That's where, since you're tell us about Thomas. Just because if we're going to have an NPC around, we'll need to know a little more about Thomas.
He's a big guy, very bulky. He's older than this group. He's not a teenager. He's in his 30s. He wears a suit, so very not punk. He looks like a government agent.
Okay, so there's like 30-year-old dude in a suit that follows JC around. That's really interesting. I'm really dying to learn more about this guy. That's awesome.
This is a DC Comics reference, if anyone's curious.
I'm actually curious as to the reference, because I don't get it. I don't get the reference, but so if you wouldn't mind explaining it, I'm just curious as a person, if you wouldn't mind.
I just came across this while looking for the pictures, and I found this picture, and I was like, oh, this is a perfect picture. This is exactly what I want. It's from a comic called Punk Rock Jesus.
Okay, I've not heard of it, but that's cool. Love it.
So I decided to just play the character of Punk Rock Jesus.
Okay, so Thomas, so he's got a bodyguard named Thomas that follows him around. Okay, cool. So we have our cadre of three young punks who are going to the Northwest Ohio Battle of the Bands, or the NOBOB. So I guess I'm going to ask a general question. So we're just going to say y'all know each other. You are at least. You can be friends, or you could at least be friendly enough that you're all in the scene and you're all traveling together to this show. So I'm going to ask, so how do you all know each other? You're all about the same age, 15 to 18. That's like the freshman. That's like the freshman or sophomore in high school that's hanging out with a senior. That would totally work. Are you all in high school? Are you all still in school? Have any of you left school? All still in school? Okay, cool.
JC has never been to school.
Oh, okay. So you just know him. So the other two just know JC from the scene, not from school. Okay, cool. So my next question is, who is driving? Probably not Mark, because you have to be 16 to have a driver's license in Ohio. I mean, if we want to say Thomas is driving, that would be totally cool.
Is Thomas getting into our car though? Really?
Or are you getting into Thomas's car? That was going to be my next question: is who owns the car?
Yeah, we can say Thomas is driving us.
Okay. And what kind of car are you in? Remember, it's 1998. So that's SUVs are a thing, but they're a relatively new common thing. SUVs have been around since like the 60s, but they didn't really become common until the night. They didn't become like a common like car in the United States until the 90s. In the actual play, the establishment was like one of the characters was in their early 20s, and it was actually his younger brother's car.
So what do you think, Tori? If Thomas is driving, is he just driving the car, or is he driving his car that he is very particular about JC with?
I imagine it's like his company car, and it's like an Audi A6.
Perfect.
Okay, you're in an Audi. Okay, what color is it? I was going to say it's an Audi A6, and you really only have two choices for that. Is it black or is it red?
It's black.
I mean, there are really more choices, but the only Audi A6s I've ever seen have been black or they've been red.
I don't know. My dad's was dark green.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool.
But yeah, black.
Awesome.
Got to fly under the radar when you're a government agent of undescript specification.
Okay, well, I'm really curious why why a punk from rural Ohio has a bodyguard that's got an Audi A6. I was figuring you're going to be driving something like a 19. I was figuring you're going to be driving something like an 87 Dodge, like a beat up 87 Dodge Omni or something like that. But yeah, you're riding in style. So my next question is, I'm going to ask each of you in turn. I'll go in character keeper order. What is the name of the band you're most interested in seeing? And go ahead and make one up, or I can throw some. I can throw some. I can throw some names in the chat window of ones which were mentioned in the that were mentioned in the intro. But if you want to make bands up that are going to be here, that is absolutely fine. Honestly, one of the real reasons I wanted to play Punk's Been Dead since '79 is so I could make up band names. I'll throw a few in the. I'll just throw a few in the chat window just for.
There is a random punk band name generator out there, by the way. So.
And the game actually has a couple that you can. It falls under the categories.
Old school roll on the tables, right?
Yeah. The game has where is it? Here we are. Yeah, creating band names. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of D6s you can roll. Music, like what music, like musical style, and then it's got a bunch of subtables like bands with numbers in their name. Pun on a famous band. A political joke, a pun based on a brand name, or a band based on a pop culture reference. So, like pun on famous band names would be things like Blink 184, or the Abstinence Pistols. Or Green Dog. I particularly liked Guns and Rolades. Let me just throw a couple into the chat window that were actually mentioned. So we had Betty Whitesnake, which is a Riot Girl band, and they were considered one of the best bands in the area, but did not make the cut. We have and they are two bands. The two bands that are considered some of the best punk bands in the area are not performing as the Battle of the Bands. There is Betty Whitesnake, which is a Riot Girl band, considered one of the best bands in the area, but they did not make the cut. Their fans of that band are showing up in protest. And Fuck Truck 4000, which is a classic punk band, also considered one of the best bands, also didn't make the cut. And they're the ones who are setting up an alternate show in the parking lot of the YMCA across the street from the VFW Hall. So other bands that are playing. So we've got the Roadkill Vixens. And I'll let you figure out what style they are. We've got Al Gorey. We've got Shit Sandwich. We've got and these are some of the bands that are mentioned in the So for those watching at home, some of the other bands that are include, and I'll let you figure out what their genre is. But we've got the Roadkill Vixens, we've got Al Gorey, Shit Sandwich, P.U.K.E 419, Public Urination, the Toaster Oven Incident, Nancy Reagan's Wig, Killer Queen 666, and Erica and the Scabs. All of which I just love. So and again, if you want to make up a band, cool. But yeah, what band are each of you here to see and why? Mark, what band are you most interested in seeing at the Battle of the Bands tonight?
He would like to go to Fuck Truck 4000. It's because of how they are having the show across the streets, like as a even like a statement, and he wants to. Maybe he doesn't really like this band so much, or he's kind of like neutral to it. But just them making this statement gives him a reason to wield some arguments and some reasons and win some, have something to say.
Got it.
He likes having
kind of like so as punks you're outsiders, but this band is now an outsider among the outsiders.
Something like that, yeah, exactly.
Love it. Valeria, what band are you most interested in seeing? And again, if you want to make up a name, go for it.
Yeah, I think P.U.K.E 419 is really the band I'm here to see. They're my old band. They're the ones who kicked me out just last week.
Oh, they're your former band. Okay,
Yeah.
awesome.
So I want to see what kind of, slag they've gotten in to play bass guitar. I don't know.
Okay, I love it. I love it. Write this down. P.U.K.E 419.
And I think they are, I don't know, anarcho-punk. They're pretty raw, and I don't know, maybe someone found a collection of old records from the 70s in a garage sale or something, and this kind of spawned us to copy a style which we don't see very often over here.
Lovely. I love it. That's fantastic. And JC, what band are you most interested in seeing? And again, feel free to make up a name and tell us what their style is.
They're called the Inhuman Race. So they are hardcore punk. Their message is about how trash humans are, how they're killing the world.
Got it. So they're kind of so they're a hardcore band, but they've got but they're political in that they've got like an ecological message or economic message or just I'm just trying.
Everybody sucks.
Okay.
So more nihilistic, I guess.
Got it. Yeah, we don't have a message because messages are for losers. I love it. Okay. So my next question, we've already established partly, and that was were any of you in the band at one point, in a punk band at one point? And if so, what its name? And so we have already established that one, that Valeria had been a member of P.U.K.E 419 and got kicked out just last week. And I think maybe we'll figure out why in play. I'm not going to ask now, but that I'm sure that's going to come up, because hey, there's got to be drama. Was Mark ever in a band or not, or is he just a fan?
Yeah.
And barrier to entry into a punk band is fairly low. You mainly just need to get your hands on an appropriate instrument, or you don't even, punk singers don't really need to know how to sing. You just need to be able to make a lot of noise.
Yeah. So as we established that Valeria was in a band, I'm wondering if, to have a little bit of contrast, perhaps Mark was never in a band, but he wants to be in one. He wants to be in any band. Like, he just wants a place for him to belong, and maybe even more than that, like maybe he wants a place to control or something like that.
Okay, so Mark wants to be in a band. Do you play anything, or would you try to sing, or what would you contribute to a punk band?
Singer, of course, because it's the lead, right? Like, he wants to be the protagonist.
Oh, wants to be the lead. I love it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Love it. And same question to JC. Have you ever been in a band before?
No, but he's actively trying to create a band.
Okay. Wants to make a band. Does JC have any musical does he know how to play guitar? Does he sing? Every once in a while some punk bands have like oddball instrumentation, like X-Ray Specs. X-Ray Specs had an alto saxophonist, and early Hawkwind, when they were like in their punk phase, they had a violinist.
He knows how to play guitar,
Okay,
but he also sings.
awesome. All right, so so I think the first scene is going to be, and we'll get a little bit look at our characters' lives as we're going to be picking people up to go to the show. So it is so it is I'm going to say it's early October. We've had it's a little warm so it's early October. You know, the trees are the trees. I'm going to say it's like I think it's probably the leaves of the trees are turning now. So they're turning like orange and gold and brown. I think it's so yeah, and there's some leaves have fallen off the trees, so there's like leaves on the ground. It's starting to get chilly, but the past couple of days have been have been kind of like the last gasp of summer, so it's been a little unseasonably warm the past couple of days. So why don't we start with so I think we have established that Thomas is driving. So why don't we start with the scene of like JC like leaving his house, getting into the car. What does that look like? This is kind of like the opening credits of our movie, is like driving around, picking up our I think that's going to be driving around, picking up our protagonists to like go to this battle of the bands in this episode of our movie or TV show.
So it's not a house. It's like they're staying in a hotel or like a motel. They're on the move. Gotta get to this. Gotta get to know Bob. That's where the action is.
Got it. Just Tori, you got some robot voice going on. I'm not sure what's going on there. I don't know if that's Zoom being weird, but anyway, this sort of thing sometimes clears itself up. But so you said, just to make sure, so you're staying in a motel. Give us a little more about what kind of motel you're staying in. Is this a nice place? Is it a cheap place? Like what kind of hotel are you?
Probably just a cheap place to lay your head at night.
Okay, so yeah, you get out of a Motel 6 and you hop into the car and you're heading off. Like, I guess, like, I'd like I'm trying to get an idea as to if we could have a little bit of a scene inside. Probably don't want to role play it because you don't want to be talking back and forth, but can you give us a little idea of just a little about the kind of conversation that JC and Thomas are having, just so that we get a little bit of establishment of what their relationship might be like. I mean, I'm not asking you to like well then, don't do that. Just give us a little bit about like the tone of the conversation, what they're maybe talking about, and if we just get a sense of how these two tend to interact.
All right. Give me a sec to think.
No problem.
It might be easier if I RP it.
That's fine. Sorry to put you on the spot there.
So is the robot voice gone?
Yeah, you're fine now.
Okay.
I think that was just Zoom being weird.
All right. I reset my mic, so hopefully it's good now. So JC's like looking out the window. It's like, Thomas, you've always been there for me, and I really appreciate it, man. It must be hard. Thomas is just like driving. Thomas, I'm trying to have a heart-to-heart here. Kid, we're out here. You ran away. What do you want me to say to you? Well, I don't know, just like something encouraging, I guess. If you want me to say you did the right thing, I can't do that. But following your heart, and I guess that's good. Kid, I'm just here to protect you, okay? I'm doing my job. Appreciate that. Snowbob's a big deal. I'm sure we'll find some like-minded people. We'll find our people. Whatever, kid. Whatever makes you happy.
That was an awesome scene. Thank you so much. That was really cool. So I think at some point, so I think right after that, Thomas. So I think we have like another establishing shot of this car just like driving down this rural 2-lane highway, and Thomas turns to JC and says, "Okay, so who are we picking up, and where are they?" And and I guess that's going to be. I think we're now going to cut to an establishing shot of. I think we're going to establishing shot of Mark. Why don't you tell us a little bit about maybe Mark getting like give us just a real quick scene of Mark getting ready to like go to the show and get picked up by your I'm going to say it sounds like JC is fairly new in town. Is that correct, Tori? Okay. So so yeah, so your relatively new friend JC is coming to pick you up, and maybe you don't know I think you don't necessarily know what to expect. Like I think you probably don't necessarily know what to expect here, but yeah, JC said that he was going to give you a ride and that he'd be showing up. So let's have a little scene of Conan getting ready. I'm sorry, of Mark getting ready, and tell us a little bit about give us a little. I mean, that might give us a little sense of what Mark's home life is like, what kind of place he's living in, and
it's a suburban neighborhood. It's a place of where middle class families live. Actually, this specific family is quite well off, so you would see outside a pretty expensive, or a garage with a pretty expensive car. And Mark is in his room. He's preparing himself. He's like wearing all these military kind of like clothes. His beret. He's just checking in front of a mirror if he's perfectly fine, and like looking at the poster of the Che Guevara and like wearing it exactly like him. And he even puts some dark paint on his eyes, and he's nervously looking outside of the window to the road, waiting for the car. And he, in the background, you can hear some faint classical music from downstairs, not from his room. From he knows it's her mom is somewhere in the kitchen, and he hopes that she doesn't see him, because she never approved his clothing, and especially not the face paint.
Hey, so Mark's from a middle to upper middle class background. Mom is listening to like a Mozart sonata while she's in the kitchen. Love it. And a brand new black Audi A6 pulls into your driveway.
Yeah, that's the cue. He knows. He recognizes the car, so he takes his bag and goes down, like very quite stealthily. Actually, he really doesn't want his mom to notice. Unfortunately, of course, when he turns the corner to just open the door and leave, the mother just appears and tells him, "What, Mark? What are you doing? Where are you going?" And then he, like, you could see, she could only see his back, and then when like he doesn't want to turn because he doesn't want to show his face, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna hang out with some friends. Yeah, maybe we're staying for the weekend." "What? You're staying for the weekend, but your grandparents are coming tomorrow. Did your father give you permission?" "Mom, we are staying. There's this big thing happening, ma'am." And well, I don't want to roleplay everything, but basically, or if you are okay with that, basically the situation escalates to her just being really angry and disappointed, and that's in the state of mind Mark leaves. Eventually he just leaves. He's just like, yeah,
kind of storms out. He just kind of storms out the door in a big huff or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And quickly goes to the car and hopes that his mother doesn't follow him, and says, "Hey guys, just ready, let's go."
And you get in the car and you take off. Oh, JC, are you riding shotgun or are you in the back seat?
Shotgun.
Okay, awesome. Kind of figured, but just thought I'd ask. Okay, and yeah, you hop in the back seat and you head off.
Still, he's feeling quite guilty.
Okay.
He doesn't like to disappoint his parents.
I'm imagining that as the car pulls out and takes off, your mom steps onto the front door with her arms crossed and sees this car go off, and she's got a look that's one part confusion and one part concern, and she just kind of like shakes her head as you drive off, and that's what you. And if you look over and you look over. There's a scene of you looking over your shoulder through the tinted glass windows of this Audi as it drives down the road, and you look over your shoulder and you just kind of see her like shaking her head in disappointment. Cool. Same thing for Mark. Why don't we have a little establishing scene of Mark getting ready for the show? Mark getting ready to go to the show, and a little bit about, I guess, little scene of Mark's home life, just so we get to know a little more about this character.
That was Mark.
You mean?
I'm sorry, that was Mark. I'm sorry, Valeria. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. You're the character keeper order is like reverse from the way I've got you displayed on my Zoom call. So I'm.
On Zoom you can drag us around.
I'm aware of that.
Okay, it's a relatively new feature, I think. Okay, no worries. So I think Valeria, we kind of see she lives above a corner store or something like that in a small town. Maybe the town we kind of all live in, essentially. And she is yelling at her younger sister because she is getting her shit together for the gig. And I guess previously, her plan was there would be a van and they would be going as a band and she would just throw in everything, but now she's taking the bare minimum. So like we see her stuffing a cable into her pocket, and then something like maybe her spare strings are missing, and she knows that her younger sister has been just taking her stuff for some particular reason. And I think the house is a bit I guess the kind of above the store flat or whatever is kind of crowded, and they're all up in each other's business. So I think Valeria like storms into her sister's room and like opens her desk and finds the thing that she was looking for, finds those spare strings, and says, "See," like, and I think she gets nothing from her sister, and then just maybe heads out early with her stuff, sits on the curb waiting for the car to arrive. You're muted, Mike.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Okay. So like, I guess if you head out, you sit on the front steps of the house. A little bit about what the house looks like. Is it a traditional house? Is it do you live in an apartment complex? Are you in a trailer park? What kind of place is this?
Yeah, so I think it's like an apartment above, or the upper floor above a shop, a store.
Oh yeah, you did say that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But I think I'm not sure how, maybe a good portion of the stores along the street are boarded up or obviously in a bad way. So
okay,
yeah, this is kind of
so
holding on.
Got it. So you're living in an apartment above a store on kind of like the former main drag of a small town.
Yeah.
Where there's still a few businesses operating, but a lot of them are closed.
Yeah.
Is the store you're above, is that still open or has it closed?
Yeah, I think it's maybe it's a kind of a mom and pop operation. So it's like we run the store and we have to help out sometimes and whatever else, but it's still kind of holding on.
Got it. And a black Audi A6 looks brand spanking new, pulls up in front of the house, and when it rolls down, and JC's riding shotgun, and you hop in and you drive off.
Is this the first time we have been picked up in the Audi, or is this kind of new?
That's a good question. I was about to ask you the same question. Is this? I guess this is more of a question for JC. Do your friends know that you've got? I mean, do your friends know that Thomas, the guy in the suit that's following you around, and have they seen you show up in a rather expensive car, especially for rural Ohio? Or have you mostly have they seen this before or not?
I'd say no. So if say this is the first big event that we're all going to, so we're all carpooling together. Before, when it's just been events that we meet up at, there's a motorcycle that that's how Thomas and JC usually get to the event, is Thomas is driving the motorcycle and JC is holding on to him.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, this is the first. This is the first time that this is the first time you've seen JC in a really expensive car. He you weren't quite sure what to expect, but it wasn't this. What's your reaction, Valeria?
Yeah, I think I am maybe when they pull up on the side of the road, I am moving, because that's not them, right? I'm looking for the usual. In fact, I'm wondering, wait a minute. Usually they come on a motorcycle. How am I? They got a sidecar. Am I sitting in a sidecar? I'm just confused right now. And the Audi is not what I expected. So maybe you've got to roll down the window to holler at me to get me into the car.
Like, maybe you're expecting a maybe you're expecting, I don't know, like an 84 like Ford LTD full size station wagon or something like that. You were not expecting a brand new Audi. So cool. You hop in and you drive on down the road. Okay, looking at the time, it's about the top of the hour. Why don't we take another break? Let's see, I got 3 minutes after. Why don't we take why don't we take 7 minutes and come back at 10 past? And we are back. So we've got our characters in the car. They are heading to the show. I think maybe let's have one scene with these 3 characters plus your driver in the car, and then we'll get there, and maybe we'll do a hard frame of you like approaching the show. But yeah, let's have a scene with our 3-player characters now that they're all together in the car, and let's see what happens. So yeah, so the 3 of you are in the car. JC is in the front seat, is in the front passenger seat. You've got a rather taciturn older man in a black suit driving, which I'm guessing Mark and Valeria might think is more than a little weird. But yeah, you're tooling down this leaf-strewn rural highway and it's getting to be late afternoon. The show's supposed to start at 5, which is early, but they got 10 bands, so I think given the time of year, it's going to start at 5, which is like right around sunset. So it's like late afternoon. It's late afternoon now. It's going to be about it's probably going to be about a good 45-minute drive to get to the show. So how do y'all pass the time in the car?
So are you gonna go see Fuck Truck 4000, or are you going like all the others to the competition?
I mean,
Right
I don't
there.
know about you, but a bit of lag there. Do you want to go ahead, Tori?
No, I was just making an out of game comment. I was like, oh yeah, they're the ones that are across the street.
I mean, I think we just watch people on the listing, right? But might swing over when Fuck Truck start their lineup. So yeah, we might drag in a few interesting bands. Who knows? I mean, they're not gonna. They don't have a cover charge on the parking lot, do they?
Right.
Anyone?
You know what?
Make it. Oh, I'm sorry. Go on.
You know what would be cool? If like Fuck Truck would play real good, and then some other bands would come and start playing outside. Like even bands that are invited, like just do it outside, because I mean we can take the streets, right?
Man, I don't know why Fuck Truck didn't get into the actual battle. It's fucked up, man.
Hey Valeria, weren't you playing? I mean, I heard. I'm sorry that you're not playing. What about just go on stage, man, before or after Fuck Truck, and just play something?
I mean, if I was a lead guitarist, stroke singer, maybe I'd do that. But no one wants to hear a bassist by themselves. was like,
Why not? Maybe you inspire some others, and it's just people start just jamming, and you never know.
you need some like galaxy level talent to be jamming in front of a crowd, I think. But who knows? Maybe we'll come up with a band on spec and gel, right?
I mean, why not?
Do you even
I
have your
mean-
axe? You know,
Why wouldn't I? It's in the trunk.
Yeah.
Who goes to a battle of the bands without their gear, man?
you don't need to convince me. I say, cradling the bass. Maybe we look over at Mark.
Hey JC, and what is your dad gonna go see?
He's not my dad, man.
I know.
No, it's Thomas, man. He's just like I don't know, man. He's like an uncle, I guess.
Okay, an uncle. All right.
Yeah.
Is he gonna come into the mosh pit and all that? He's strong, man. He's beefed up.
Thomas will like look at you in the rear view mirror. He's like, I'm sitting right here. You can talk to me.
Oh man, I didn't know
Like-
you were talking, man. Wow. Okay. And I think that Mark starts speaking on him, kind of like, and testing his limits. I mean, I'm talking about Thomas's limits.
Thomas will just like roll his eyes and go, kids.
So you're laying the groundwork about you're laying the groundwork for maybe forming an impromptu band and just kind of showing up. I love it. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna say let's hard frame the scene. Your car is pulling into downtown Van Wert, Ohio. Population 11,000. So it's the largest of the small towns in the area. It actually has it's got a for real downtown. So the VFW halls. So VFW halls, for those of you that's a VFW hall. Everyone knows what these are, or should I explain? Okay, it's a US thing. The VFW stands for Veterans of Foreign Wars, and it's a generally they're like veterans organizations. They usually have a function hall. They usually have a bar inside where it's kind of a members only club, like private club. Generally it's open to anyone who is a veteran and their family, or friends thereof. And they usually have they have a big function hall that they have their own organizations, or they have their own like events there, but they usually rent that hall out to other things. So this is a very common venue for punk shows of the day, but also things like like community theaters would rent the place out, or like it's a fairly inexpensive place to hold like a wedding reception. yeah, these function halls, they probably hold, the larger ones can probably hold an event for, maybe up to, 350, 400 people. That'd be kind of crowded. But it can be set up as a banquet hall. There's always a stage at one end. And in this case, it's, there's no seating. They've just set up, so I guess they have set up some seating areas. And at this point, it'd be like metal folding chairs that were like set up in rows. Because this kind of place doesn't have, it's not a formal concert hall. It doesn't have, doesn't have actual seating like in a theater. But yeah, it's like a big multi-purpose function hall. They generally have an area that's set up for concessions for the various events there. So some would set it up as a bar area. Some would set it up as depending on the event, it could be a bar area. It could be a merch tent. Could be a place that's selling like a hot dog stand. But it's like a big multi-purpose hall. Along the side, like a big rectangular room usually has windows on one side. And it usually has like decorated up. It's usually got like flags and banners and like military memorabilia, that kind of thing. But again, it's pretty common, like multi-purpose function hall that's common across the United States, primarily in rural areas. So yeah, so that's the VFW Hall. They tend to be on, sometimes they're downtown, sometimes they're on like the outskirts of town. This one's like not in the like actual downtown business district. It's kind of like out in the, it's a little farther from the center of town. It's generally has a big parking lot, but yeah, and there's a major road that goes by. Just on the other side of the street, again, it's like a 2-lane rural highway. Posted speed limit is probably like 45 miles an hour because this is like near an area or near a semi-populated area. Right across the street is a local YMCA, which also has a big parking lot. And and I'm going to say that there's some more city streets that are, there's still a few city streets near here. And when you drive by the venue, so the VFW parking lot is full. There's actually, there's several there's several vans that are parked there. So those are, and some of which are decorated with band names, some of which aren't. There's a couple that are basically like U-Haul. There's a couple that are like U-Haul vans that are presumably like some of the bands have rented to transport their equipment here. The other thing that you see parked in the parking lot, like with a big satellite dish on the top, is a van that's painted with 98.7 The Pipe. WPYP out of Youngstown, which has a bunch of repeater stations around here, and that's really the most popular like rock station that's on. It's really the only. It's from your perspective, this is the only good station. They play rock, but they've got a dedicated punk show that they do on Saturday nights. And it's not that corporate media. They actually have like real DJs that really have a chance to like play what they want. This isn't piped in from corporate. They play the real stuff. And again, the rumor has it that the organization is the winners of the band, the winners of tonight's Battle of the Bands. In addition to the $1,000 cash prize, they are also going to get an exclusive 30-minute live broadcast in the studio of WPYP, The Pipe. You drive by the VFW Hall, the parking lot is full. There's a line out the door of a whole bunch of people to go in to see the show. As you drive by fairly slowly, I think you probably roll the windows down so you can get a better view, and you hear that from the speakers from the mobile studio. They're just playing what the radio is broadcasting, and I'm guessing that's probably what you got your radio tuned to. So yeah, they're playing the radio broadcast, and it looks like there's a reporter from the radio station that's there with a microphone, and it's just like interviewing people that they're like cutting in, because this is a big deal locally, at least. But yeah, across the street there's a smaller crowd, and it looks like they're setting up a makeshift stage. And the makeshift stage is basically someone's driven in a flatbed truck, just like an open flatbed. And it looks like the members of Fuck Truck 4000 are setting up, they're setting up their drums, they're setting up their amps. They're not quite to the sound check level yet, but they are. But yeah, they're getting their show set up, and their speakers are pointed right at the Vfw Hall. And you can see that they've got some serious speakers, to the point where if they turn those up to 11, you're probably going to be able to hear Fuck Truck's music even inside the VFW Hall. So this might be interesting. Parking lot in both sides are full, and they've got a couple of like private security wearing the yellow vest, and they've got the flashlight with the red plastic things, and they're like directing people. They're like directing people beyond. There's no signs for where parking is, but you turn the corner into like the city streets, and it looks like people are just parking on. Looks like people are just parking on city streets and walking in. And by the time you get there, it looks like there's a lot of people that have gotten there already. So you're probably going to have to park like 5 or 6 blocks away and then walk in, unless you ask Thomas to like circle around and like see if someone pulls out and then go and steal their spot. So JC, you aren't actually driving, but it's your NPC is driving. So I'm going to ask you. So what's your approach for parking?
Yo, Thomas, drop us off. And then he has to go find parking and walk.
Love it. I love it. Okay, so Thomas kind of grumbles and he turns to you and he looks you right in the eye and says, "Now listen, kid, you be careful in there. I'll catch up as soon as I can. Keep an eye on you, but you be careful in there. You know the kind of people that are out there, right?"
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, he pulls up. So he pulls around the corner so that you're pretty close to the. So I think there's an entrance to the parking lot. So you come off the main road onto this side road, which like keeps going on and like connects up to city streets. But he like pulls up in front of the parking lot, which has like a big no parking sign. Like one says parking lot full, and like some of this area says no parking. He pulls up in front of the no parking area. You open up the doors, you get up, close the doors, and he drives off.
I would like to have a conversation now. Hey JC, who's that guy? Like, are you cool
Thomas?
with him or JC? Yeah. That your uncle, you said.
Yeah, he's like my uncle. He's just like my guardian. Like,
so he's your dad.
He's not my dad. It's not my dad.
Are you cool with him? Like, are you cool with him coming with us? I mean, it's just,
yeah, he's totally.
To me, this ride was so like, I couldn't express myself, man.
No. He's totally chill. Like, he's totally chill. He's like, think of him as like the uncle that comes over and like lets you do whatever your parents don't want you to do when they're around. He like takes you out and like will take you to concerts and take you out for junk food, like that kind of cool uncle guy.
Yeah, man, if he can buy us some drinks, that's all right. But like, I wouldn't like him to just be around all the time. It's just, I don't feel so comfortable, you know?
Okay, I'll give
I
it to you
can't be so
straight.
chill with him.
He's here to make sure that I don't die or like get hurt or
What?
because like world's dangerous and stuff. So he's just like for protection because
Hey, we are all...
he's muscly and stuff.
You don't need that, man. You're much more muscly than me. Look at you. You need someone watching over your back, really?
Well, I don't need it, but it's like it's complicated, dude. But he's here to watch our backs. It's fine. He's not gonna like encroach on us. He's not gonna stop us having a good time.
Have you ever had just one night of this small risk?
I mean, there's been a lot of risk, and he's always had my back.
And what about standing up for yourself?
I mean, I stand up for myself.
All right, man. Okay. I'm just saying. All right, I'm cool.
I mean, I am bemused by this whole situation, but like, he does not seem dressed for cool. He seems dressed for something else that rhymes with cool, but is not cool.
All I said is he won't interfere.
Okay, but at least it'll take him like an hour to find parking and walk over here. So this is our chance, Mark, to get into some trouble.
Yeah, look, I will be cool with him if he just gets me some booze.
Okay, so so from where you're standing, at this, so you get out of the car, and at this point, there's a number of people that are like walking by you. Obviously, they parked farther in and are walking back, and some of them notice that the three of you get out of a brand new Audi A6, which, by the way, that car is really out of place around here. Most of the people around here drive. So the typical cars that are driven around here, there's a whole lot of Ford F-150s. There's a whole lot of Chevy S10 pickup trucks. Other common cars that you see picked up are driven around here are like, like older there's a lot of older full-size sedans. So, there's a lot of like Chevy Caprices. There's a lot of Ford LTDs. There's a lot of, cars from the, like full-size sedans from the 70s is a pretty common car around here. Or there's a lot of like shitty, cheapo, like econo boxes. Again, from the, a lot in, the year is 1998. A lot of them are from like the late 80s, early 90s. So, there's a bunch of like, beat up Dodge Neons or like Dodge or like, someone drives by in a Geo Metro. So yeah, the like expensive luxury cars, especially new ones, are very uncommon. So you step out of this car, and there's a group of other, there's another group of punks that you don't recognize. They're probably, you may have seen them in the scene at some point, but since this is a regional, this is like a regional big deal kind of event, a lot of people from a lot of the surrounding areas are coming to this. So, and yeah, so there's a group of, I was gonna say there's a group of 4 people that like stopped and watched you get out of this car. And then you see the car drive off, and there's 4 people. I'm gonna say it's I would say it's 3 three young men and a young woman. They're probably, I think they're a little older than you. They're probably in their early 20s, but yeah, they're clearly dressed for the show. You know, one of them has spiked green hair. The young woman has kind of like long hair, but it's like bleach blonde, and the ends of it are dyed blue. She's wearing a denim jacket that on the back of it is just stitched this like red A anarchy symbol. And they're just looking at you and they're like, huh, that was some ride. What's the story behind that? Like what? You get limo? You got limo service to a punk show?
Uncle's company car.
Uncle's company car. Must be nice to have that kind of an uncle.
Yeah.
And
can I say something?
Please. Yeah.
Can I say that one of the people in the group, and you said that we don't know them, but just tell me if it's okay. If one of them in the group is one kid from school that I know and knows me, and is one of them with whom I got into trouble or problems. He's not really aggressive, but he's kind of like the one who would go back and tell the others the story. And
okay.
So I don't get immediately confronted, but like I know that this is going to have repercussions down the line.
Okay, yeah. So there is one guy. You know what is this guy's name?
Joe.
Making a few notes here. Joe. Okay, I'm gonna give him a last name. I'm gonna say it's Joe McCurdy, and it's acquaintance in other group of a snitch. So yeah, Joe is there, and he just kind of like gives you the eye, and just kind of like gives you this look like, I don't know what you're up to, Mark, but that's kind of weird. Doesn't say anything, but you get that look from him, and you know him. He's really not a friend, but he's someone in the scene.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you think that the fact that you stepped out of a luxury car that dropped you off at a punk show, you think that's definitely gonna get around, and you don't think that's gonna help your cred at all. And I'm gonna say that the woman I described with the long bleached blonde hair with the blue ends, she looks at you, Valeria, and says, "Hey, aren't you the bassist of P.U.K.E 419? What's your name? Valerie?
Valeria.
All right. Like, why aren't you? I saw them. Why aren't you with them?
Because I got canned.
Oh, she says.
Three.
Well, that sucks. What happened?
Oh, 3 backstabbing a-holes. Have a band meeting with ItchIo, and sorry, my dog got a high alert.
It happens. At some point, my cat will probably hop onto my desk and stare directly into the camera. Because rarely does a game go by that that cat does not do that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to be right back.
No problem.
Okay.
No problem. We'll pick that. We'll pick up the scene in a moment. So yeah, they're like, we'll come back to finish that conversation, but let's kind of like move on. So yeah, I mean, they're not like causing trouble. They're just like curious, and again, maybe like coming out of a luxury car to a punk show. That's might not be helping your cred. But yeah, so you're at the show. There's a lot of people coming in. There's a pretty long line to get people inside. And it looks like they are, and just looking at the line, it looks like they are, there is a cover charge. It's $5. And they're also IDing people at the door, and they're stamping hands. So you get one stamp if you're 21 or over and are therefore legally able to buy alcohol, and you're getting a different stamp if you are under 21. It is an all ages show, but you've got to have the right kind of hand stamp in order to buy anything at the bar. So yeah, it looks like there's a long line. You're guessing it's gonna be like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It's not moving quickly. I mean, but there may be other ways to get into this show. So what do you do? And cover charge is only $5, but hey, it's still $5.
I would say that again at the line, Mark recognizes one of those old friends who are no friends anymore, and he becomes really, really self-conscious and really, really insecure and uncomfortable, and goes to JC and says, "Man, this sucks. This line. We should just. I mean, why do we have to go in? I just want to see this Fact Track 4000. Let's just beat it, man."
Come on, we got to see some bands. Hold on, I got an idea. We got to make a distraction first.
Okay. Yeah.
Wait, you can sing, right?
Me? Well, sure, yeah, of course.
Yeah, well, okay. Hop up on here. And he like pulls you over to okay, so it's outside. I'll say there's like a little memorial outside of the front of this building.
Oh, it's a VFW Hall in front of the build. Oh yeah, I've seen this plenty. Outside in front of the VFW Hall, with this little waist high wooden fence around it. I mean, obviously it doesn't run anymore, but there's a full-size World War II vintage Sherman tank that's just parked in front of the place. It's like painted green.
Awesome.
So yeah, there's and not uncommon sight in front of a VFW Hall.
Perfect. JC's gonna pull Mark over to the tank and like push him towards it. Get up on the tank and like start singing and he says like the first punk rock song that comes to mind, like a popular one. And then like other people will join in too.
Right.
Love it.
There's one thing though, JC, that there are some guys that I know and they really don't like me, so I don't know if I can do this.
Who cares? Come on, man, you can do it. You could do it.
And I think that Mark really wants to be liked by JC, but really wants to be accepted. So, and he knows that it's gonna well, it's more that, yeah, he's gonna do it, but just to be accepted, not because he wants to. And absolutely, he's going to go up and start trying to start the chorus of the song.
Okay. So I'll be honest. I listened to a fair amount of punk when I was in high school back in the 80s, but I haven't really. But I don't know the current scene so much. I don't know if any of you are like punk fans. So if you want to pick a real song that you're singing, or if you just want to what's the title of the song that you're singing? I don't necessarily need to know any of the lyrics, but what's it's something that people know. Like super classic or something more recent and more popular on the scene. I guess that's my I think that's my question. Is this a classic song that you think everyone knows, or is this like a newer kind of popular song that you think everyone knows?
I think it's going to be a very, very simple and very, very catchy chorus that everyone can just join, either by clapping or, like something super like quite pop actually for being punk.
Okay. I was gonna I didn't know if you're gonna get up there and just start singing, I don't know, Anarchy in the U.K. or something like that, which is a song that every punk would know. But yeah, okay, yeah. So you sing something that's so you sing a punk song that's popular on the scene. It may have a little bit of radio play right now, but it's not super commercial. It's not like Green Day or Blink-182, but it's something that's got a little more cred to that. Cool. Let me take I think this is going to call for a roll, and I am just looking over the moves here to see which move seems to apply to this situation. What are you intending to do here, I guess, is my question with this. Trying to rile up the crowd, draw interest.
So Mark wants to do whatever JC tells him to do. So what JC can see what the objective is.
So it's create a distraction, so like get as much attention as possible.
Okay. So I think looking at the moves here, none really seem to. Hey folks, I'm really sorry. I actually also need to step away for just a moment. I'm going to need to invoke open door. Why don't we? It's a little early. It's a little early for our second break, but why don't we come back? Why don't we just come back right on the hour? I'm sorry, something's going on that I need to take care of. Let's come back right on the hour. So sorry about that. Okay, and we're back. So when last we left our, so JC was goading Mark into climbing on top of the Sherman tank, the old Sherman tank that is, presumably the interior has been like filled with concrete, and it's like basically like set. It's effectively a statue. So Mark climbs over the sign which says climb. So Mark climbs over the sign that says keep out, and ignores the sign that says do not climb on the tank, and climbs up the tank. Stands on top of the tank and starts belting out a rousing chorus of the chorus of a song that's currently fairly popular, at least among the scene. It's a relatively new song, but it's got a little bit of crossover radio play, so it wouldn't be unheard of to hear on a mainstream radio station. But it's by a real punk band. It's not one that's been cooked up by corporate. So I think things might go sideways here. So let's see what happens. This would be the shit the bed move. I will read the move, which is when things might go sideways, roll flesh. So let's take a look at our characters. So Mark's flesh is 3. So on the safety and resources tab, if you want to go over there, there's under game tools, there is a link to shared dice roller. If you want to click that, that's going to go to the game. That's going to go to the shared dice roller, roll dice with friends. So when you're there, in the name field, it's going to default to Dallas Dice Roller. So go ahead and just go ahead and like delete that and put in your character's name. And then to use this is really simple. Just like click the die that you want. In this case, it looks like your flesh is 3. So click 3. So click 3d6. So you have 3 6-sided dice appear in the window, and then you can click roll it. Okay, so we've got a 5, a 3, and a 1. Assuming you want to add the best, that's going to be a 5 and a 3, so that's an 8. So looking back at the move, on a 7 and 9, things don't go as sideways as they could. The owner will say what you avoid and what still goes down. Oh, let's see what. So let me think here. So go ahead and give me the scene. What does this look like?
Yeah, he's quite self-conscious, especially because he knows that there are these people who don't like him. But he got encouraged by JC, so he starts, singing this song and asking for people to join and to clap or whatever.
And this is just your voice. There's like no. I don't think anyone else has an instrument here, so you're just singing. Okay, cool.
Right. I would say that it works for some group.
I mean, I was going to say, go ahead and describe what this looks like, and I'll describe the reaction.
What it looks like.
Yeah, what does the scene look like from home? Like as you climb up there and start singing this song.
Well, so yeah, he climbs. Some people take notice that Mark is climbing, and perhaps there are some security people far away who start moving towards the tank. And then Mark turns around and starts shouting the chorus of this really catchy song.
Awesome. So I think here's what's going to happen. Now your intention was to just. Now remind me, your intention was to just like draw the attention of the crowd.
I think so.
That totally works. You totally have the attention of the crowd. Like people in line, like turn toward you and see you standing on top of the tent. I imagine you're like punching your fist in the air, trying to get everyone to join you in the chorus. And a lot of people do join you in the chorus. A bunch of people start singing. And a bunch of people start singing, and I think what happens is you see the reporter from the or the DJ from the radio station mobile studio. He's got like one of those. He's got like a handheld mic. Now there's no cameras here. This is a radio station, so there's no TV cameras here, but he comes around on the other side of the van and is clearly talking into his microphone, and like at one point he holds his microphone up toward the crowd to kind of like pick up what they're singing. And at the same time, you do notice that your former friends, now enemies, are like looking at you, and they are just glaring at you, and they got their arms crossed, and they're like totally 100% giving you the stink eye. and you see a couple of them talk like leaning in to talk to each other, and like a couple of them point to you, and you see a couple of them shake their heads. But for the most, but yeah, if the idea was to get the attention of the crowd, 100%. So yeah, so I guess my question is, like, how long are you singing? Are you gonna do a second one, or just like after you've done this song? After you've done this one, do you climb back down, or are you gonna go into another song? Or
the security doesn't bring me down, and as long as Mark doesn't feel too overwhelmed by his former friends, let's say, laughing at him, then he will continue.
Okay, so I'm gonna say they let you finish that first song, but at this point, yeah, I mean, this place certainly has security. There's a whole lot of, you got a whole lot of young people in a group. The locals are definitely gonna be wary of this. So, I'm gonna say that you're just coming to the end of the song when there are 2 private security officers and an actual for real cop that are at the base of this tank, and they're, and you're just coming to the end of this when they're like shouting you to like get down off of there. What do you do?
Mark looks at if he can find JC, and assesses, like, depends on what JC does.
So yeah, so JC, where have you been while this whole thing's going on?
So the reason that JC wanted a distraction is that you wanted to go and see if you could swipe the hand stamp while everyone was distracted.
I love it. I love it. Cool. We'll have that scene. I do want to go back to Valeria. We did interrupt. So like, we're just gonna like do I won't say flashback, but we're just gonna finish that scene that we started before Donogh had to step out. So one of the other punks that you didn't know was asking you about like, hey, weren't you with P.U.K.E 419? What the hell happened? And you had started to explain yourself, and you the player had to stand up. I just want to finish that scene, and then we'll jump back.
Sure. Yeah, so maybe this kind of a conversation is taking place as we're queuing, right? And I mean, I don't really know what happened, except I turned up to the next rehearsal, and like, it was told to F off, right? So I explained, they had a team meeting or a band meeting without me, and like, I was turfed out for reasons unknown.
So I will ask you, do you know who you had been replaced by in the band? And if so, what is that person's name? If not, that's also cool.
I don't know. And maybe because the timeline is so short, maybe this is my first chance to see who they have replaced me.
Oh, okay. So you haven't heard through the grapevine who your replacement is.
I mean, I think maybe the rest of the scene is being like a bit awkward. Like, this is a breakup, and they have to choose sides with the active band instead of the person who's been thrown out, kind of thing. And this is why I'm hanging out with JC and Mark. they are not the usual crowd.
Okay. So the answer is you don't know. Okay. So the answer is you don't know who your replacement is, and I just want to say so Valeria is still a little unsure as to why you got kicked out, or do you really know and you're just not saying? Either way, it's cool.
Yeah. So I think I really know, but I'm not saying. So and I think it's something like
would it be okay to like do a flashback and like just want to have like a little scene of like what happened when you showed up for the bit, you
sure.
I'm thinking it might be like there was a band meeting and you showed up at the appropriate time, but they showed up like the rest of the band had shown. I mean, they said, we're supposed to meet at, this, we're like, you're all still young. Yeah, you're supposed to meet up at this, you're supposed to meet up at the diner to like have a band meeting, and you're supposed to get there at like 6 o'clock. You got there at 6, but you got there and like they got there at 5:30 and they had this meeting and you show up.
So maybe like the drummer, whose name is Devin, drew the short straw to stick around afterwards and explain it to me. How does that sound?
I like it. And what was Devin's disposition? Was he like, did he feel bad? Was he snarky? Was he like?
I think he felt kind of bad. Maybe he was given the job because we were the closest, or he was the closest to me in the band. So it was like, you do this shitty job because you know how to handle Valeria or something.
Okay, got it. And what reason were you given that you were kicked out of the band?
So I think the kind of the message that Devin has been told to give me is that there are musical differences, right?
Creative differences.
Yeah. And that they just don't feel that Valeria is in keeping with the image of the band.
Oh, right. And so you said that you had established that Valeria had doesn't look like a typical punk. So what is Valeria's actual look?
Yeah, so I think like right now she's like wearing this kind of like red velvet jacket with this kind of old-fashioned cut, maybe from the 70s or something.
Okay.
And just like jeans and boots and stuff. So nothing like if you saw her in the street, you would not think she was in the scene. Okay,
so she just kind of like wears regular retro-ish street clothes.
Yeah.
That doesn't. Okay, I didn't know if like the rest of the band was more hardcore and you were dressing rockabilly or something like that.
Yeah,
I like. I like the idea. I like the idea that you were you're not embracing a. If you're not embracing the rest, you're not embracing the aesthetic of the rest of the band.
Yeah, I think maybe maybe there was like a wheedling out the truth from Devin, but they have like a chance at like an agent or someone who's going to be at this gig, and they wanted to replace me with someone who looked the part, and so they can get some kind of deal. Maybe now that the last year's winners are out, they're like the hot favorites.
Okay, love it. Fantastic. Okay, so let's go back to the scene of so Mark was I think we're going to cut away from Mark on top of the tank as the two private security guards and the one like actual town cop are now like yelling at you to get off the tank. This is not it's not a jungle gym. Now let's go
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
Did Tori, did JC share his plan with us, or has he just disappeared while Mark is climbing up this tank?
Oh, and I'm going to say that happened. So your scene with those other punks, that happened before. So, like I'm going to say, if you want the three of you were there when JC said, like, basically convinced Mark to climb the tank and sing the song. And I was going to say, so in that scene, what was Valeria doing? Yeah,
I think, maybe if we see Mark kind of looking around for some backup, or like rethinking his life choices as these security guards chase him, I'm going to start pumping my fist with the eternal legend of one more tune, right? So and bringing in the rest of the crowd.
Okay, awesome. One more song.
Yeah.
I think this is also a situation where things might go sideways. Why don't we do this? Why don't we so your intention here is to get the crowd to keep going, and at least
Yeah. So
is your intention just to keep the crowd going, to keep Mark up there, or like so what do you want to happen here?
yeah, so I'm trying to like pump up the rest of the crowd to encourage Mark to
Okay.
keep going.
What would you be
So I'm not sure
afraid? Go on.
I mean, I don't think it makes a difference for my stats, but is this like shoot the shit because I'm trying to influence the crowd? It's not one individual person. I don't know.
I was going to say that I was going to say that you're trying to manipulate a crowd. So this is shoot the shit. It's not shit the bed. So this would definitely be a roll with feel.
Okay, cool.
What are you afraid might happen if this doesn't go so well?
Ooh, I mean, if Mark is obviously could have quit while he was ahead, and I'm now a rabble riser, so we might just get like kicked out of the gig, right?
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So why don't you go ahead and let's hop over the die roller again. Where did I put the die roller?
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah. Why don't you roll feel? Looks like you've got a feel of 3. So go ahead and roll 3d6, and we'll add presumably the highest 2. Nice.
Yeah,
That's an
5 and 6.
Oh, nice. That's an 11. That goes that 5 and a 6. That's an 11. Awesome. That goes perfectly. I'm going to give you narrative control. What does the crowd do?
Yeah, I mean, I think some people, probably some of the older crew are like just laughing at this. Maybe they've seen this kind of thing before, but like the group around us, or the people who are maybe more Mark's age, are like cheering him on, and like we are definitely chanting. And I think the security guys they don't want to set something off, so maybe they stand down and wait for one more tune and like pray that it doesn't turn into 2 more tunes, right?
I think that's exactly what's happened at this point. Like the 2 security guards, they were shouting at Mark to like try to get him down, and so was the cop. And at one point, like when you shout one more tune, the crowd is now chanting one more tune. And at this point, the reporter from the radio station is like walking toward the tank, and is like holding the microphone up. And so one of the security guards like looks over his shoulder and realizes that, there's 3 of them, and there's like maybe 150 of you, and you see them talk, and they kind of take a step back, but the cop is still shouting, and then that security guard comes over and starts to have a conversation with the cop, and gestures with his head toward the crowd, and the cop like looks at you, like the cop glares at Mark, but stops shouting and takes a step back. And he stands with his arms crossed, and the cop's just looking right at you. But yeah, the crowd seems to love it and is demanding one more song. So Mark, what do you do?
I guess Mark really likes this, and he goes on the offensive against the cop basically, and starts shouting some slogans against cops and all that. Maybe choose some more provocateur songs against cops and all that.
You go into a punk version of the you go into like a punk version of the rap song "Fight the Power" or possibly even "Fuck the Police."
Yeah, like over the top. Yeah.
Love it. So while this is going on, JC, you were sneaking, like you wanted them to start a distraction, and they've clearly caused a distraction. What was so? Let's see what JC is up to. So what was JC doing?
JC is like getting to the where they're doing the hand stamping, just like casually gonna take it.
Okay, so you're gonna try to take the hand stamp for the over 21 crowd. Okay. Let me take a look here. I think this is going to be the shit the bed move. This is something where things might go sideways. So I'm going to pull in a technique that I use in other PBTA games for here. So why don't we do this? So before we roll the dice, I think it's clear. I think it's clear what you want. You're trying to steal the hand stamp and the stamp pad. Let's set the stakes. So what are you afraid of? What are you afraid might happen if this doesn't go so well?
He's worried he's gonna get caught by the staff.
I think that's pretty clear. That you will get caught and basically ejected from the show, or just straight up not let in. Okay, cool. So this is going to be a roll with flesh. And it looks like your flesh is 3. So go ahead and roll 3 dice. Okay, so your high 2 dice is 5 and a 2, which is a 7. So that is it's going to be a mixed success. One thing I did want, I forgot to call out. If you want to, you can, after the dice have rolled, you can spend a point of face to up the result of a die roll from whatever you rolled to the result you had to the next higher one. So here's what I think is going to happen with your mixed success. And you can tell me whether or not you want to spend face to improve this result. I think you grab the stamp pad and you grab the stamp and the stamp pad. You grab the wrong one. You grab the one for the under 20. You grab the one for the under 21 crowd. You got it, and you got away. If you want to spend a point of face, we can change the fiction to say that you grabbed the right one. And that you got away. Up to you. Also note, looks like we've got about 35 minutes left to this game, so I think I'm going to start to approach the. I'm probably going to hard frame a couple of scenes and approach the end game.
I'm gonna spend a face.
You're gonna spend the face. Okay, spend a point of face. And you've got the stamps. You got the stamps that say you're over 21. Fantastic. Okay, I think I'm gonna hard frame the scene here, and that is you're the three of you. You're inside, and the opening act is taking the stage. And we said the opening act is the Roadkill Vixens. I am going to ask I am going to ask I'm going to ask Donogh, what kind of act is the Roadkill Vixens? Like what kind of punk do they? I mean, what kind of music are they playing at a punk show?
Yeah,
and, and I was just going to say, an appropriate. I mean, at a punk show, I mean, you might see some hardcore, you might see some screamo, you might see. I mean, it's the '90s. You might see some grunge. You might see a Riot Girl act. You might see a ska band.
Yeah. And did you say this band won last year or something like that?
They are the Roadkill Vixens.
Yeah.
They are the opening act. They won last year's competition. So so consequently they're opening this year's competition. They are not competing this year because they won last year. But they're the opener.
So let's say they're a Riot Girl act. So
they're a Riot Girl act. Okay.
Yeah. Just leaning into the name of the band.
Okay, so yeah, So yeah, it's an all women band. And yeah, they are rocking out. They open with this. They don't open with the song that they won, but they open with like one of their most popular songs among the scene, and it's awesome. And already like a bunch of people have like formed a mosh pit in front, and there's a whole lot of slam dancing going on. What are you all doing in the concert? It's I was going to say that it's not full. There's still people trying to get in. You all were able, since you got the stamp, you were able to get in without paying the cover charge. And you all, even though some of you look pretty young, you all have the over 21 stamp. So if you want to acquire, there is a bar. They are, there is a bar. Your choices at the bar are Coors Light, PBR, and Heineken. All in cans. They're certainly not selling. They're certainly not selling anything in glass bottles at a punk show. It's all in cans. PBR and Coors Light are $2 a can. Heineken is $3. Are you drinking, or are you just enjoying the band? It's not packed yet. There's still people coming in, but the vibe is pretty electric in here. What are y'all doing?
Mark Mark looks quite underage, and he will try to get a beer, I guess. You can tell me if he succeeds or not.
Okay. So you've got the over 21 stamp, but you do not look 21. You're 15.
And on top of that, he even takes the stamp and he stamps his face several times with it. Yeah.
I love it. Okay. Yeah, I think you are going to try. In order to do this, I think you are going to. This is definitely in order to get a roll. In order to get a beer, I think you are absolutely going to need to roll here. I think this is a shoot the shit manipulate. You're going to need to manipulate an NPC. So what's your approach? How are you trying to get a beer from the bar? And the guy at the bar is like a regular member of the VFW. He's like a staff member of the VFW Hall. He's a guy. He's probably like 58 years old. Has like a military, like a really short, like military style buzz cut. He's got a neatly trimmed gray mustache, and I'm going to go all out. He's got he's wearing slacks. He's wearing a white shirt. He's got a blue vest on that's got like a bunch of like little it's not like his full military regalia, but he's got like some military style pins. And he's wearing like a little I don't know what it's called, but he's wearing like a military dress uniform cap. So he is clearly not part of the scene. He is clearly a paid so yeah, he's going to be someone you're going to have to like manipulate into giving you a beer.
Right. I want to remember that Mark dresses like also military style, but like with the beret with a star and Soviet kind of like
okay,
paraphernalia stuff, and like
very
obvious.
You're dressed like a commie pinko. Got it.
Yeah. And he also makes sure that people around him like see him while ordering. So like he doesn't want to get a beer. That's not the point, right? He probably doesn't even like the taste of beer, but he wants to make a show out of this.
Wants to make sure that you can get a beer.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it. Okay. So how do you approach this? I think this is definitely going to be a shoot the shit. You're going to have to manipulate this. You're going to have to manipulate the concession stand guy into complying.
I just start slamming the bar and saying beer, 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 something like that. Very obnoxious.
Okay. So he looks at you. He rolls his eyes and he looks at you over his, he looks at you and then he looks at you over his glasses and says, "Okay, I see that stamp there, but let me see some ID because no. Let me see some ID first."
Right. Yeah. Mark would say, "No, man, I have the stamp, man. Beer, beer," and start shouting and like asking people to join.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is going to be a roll with feel. You're trying to manipulate. You're trying to manipulate this. I think you're trying to manipulate him into giving it by like trying to convince him like, well, I got the hand stamp. I got all these people around me that also that say I've got the hand stamp.
Mm-hmm.
So what is Mark's feel is 2. So let's go ahead and roll 2d6 and let's see what we get.
3 and 2 is 5.
Okay, so we got a 5. So that is going to be a miss. Let's read the rules. So, when you manipulate an NPC, roll plus feel on a miss, consequences happen.
Sorry.
So the guy,
what was the type of move?
The move is going to be shoot the shit, which is
okay.
when you manipulate an NPC.
Mm-hmm.
So you're trying to manipulate this concession stand guy into giving an obvious 15-year-old a beer, and he leans in and says, "Look, kid, we both know you're not 21. You know, we've got enough drinking age violations here that I can't afford to like let this place lose our liquor license. So no, I am not giving you a beer unless you can show me a valid Ohio State driver's license that says you are 21 with a picture that is clearly you."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. I guess that.
And
complaints.
Donogh did just say, and thank you because I forgot about that rule because this is a non-standard PBTA thing. You can spend a point of face to bump that up to a partial success.
No, it's fine. That's what happened, and I guess that's. Mark got what he wanted, which was attention. Turns around and says, like, "You see, they don't follow their own rules. This place sucks. Let's go out, guys. There's a better concert out there."
Oh, okay. So you're dissing this show, and you're dissing the show, and you're going to go across the street to see Fuck Truck.
We'll see how. No, he's not going alone. Only if people follow him.
Okay. So we had a scene with Mark. Let's see. So Valeria, you're in the show. The band is on. This band, I think by now they're probably playing their second song, which is which has as much energy as the first one. The mosh pit is mosh pit's going crazy. Mosh pit is like in full swing. It's early in the show, but energy is great. What is Valeria doing? You are muted.
Thanks. Yeah, I think Valeria is so into the roadkill vixens that it's not even funny, So I have, the girl with the blue tips. I've given her my bass to hold while I mosh.
You're gonna go moshing. Okay.
I'm gonna go moshing.
Fantastic. Well, there's a move for moshing. Moshing is one way you can recover lost edge or face. I don't think you've spent any yet, but
I haven't. But I gotta do what I gotta do.
Got it. we can have a roll if you want to, or we could. I don't think there's nothing at stake here. You're not down any, so you don't have any to roll. So I don't think you don't have any to recover. So I don't think we need a roll here. Just go ahead and set the scene. What's that like? Go ahead and tell us what that looks like.
Yeah, I think there's like a maybe for a while I'm like standing behind the chairs, like which are kind of maybe separating the mosh pit from the normal stand-up audience, and I am definitely into it. And then screw this. There's not that many chances to mosh around to a band like this. So yeah, I find the nearest friendly face and strap my bass to them, and then just like leap over the chairs to jump in and join in.
Oh, so you crowd dive and hope they catch you?
Sure, why not? You want to roll for that though.
I was gonna say, if you want to crowd dive from if you want to crowd dive not from the stage, I think we're definitely going to need I think that's definitely going to be a shit to bed move, because things might go sideways.
Things go horribly wrong. Yeah. So let me grab those dice.
So that's going to be a roll with flesh, which I think yours is 3.
Yeah, which is not good enough.
Oh,
yeah, it's a 6.
Okay, so that's a 6. So that's what will happen? Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm not saving my face for the next session, so I'm gonna spend one to bump that at least to a 7 to 9.
Okay.
Just so I don't face plant.
Okay. So how is so one thing I forgot, one part of the rule that I forgot previous, we did this, but I'm remembering it now, so we're going to use it now, is in order to spend face, you need to take advantage of your stuff in some regard. So how are you taking advantage of some of your stuff on spending face to prevent this bad outcome?
Okay. I mean, I guess I've gotten rid of.
If none of these really apply, just tell us how you're standing in this, or otherwise, just tell us how you're standing in the scene is helping you here.
I think once I get rid of the base case, like you can see what I'm wearing under the jacket, and it is, I think, a Vixen's t-shirt. Some really rough bootleg t-shirt for them.
Okay, so so you're wearing the Roadkill's Vixen t-shirt, and so several people point at you, and so when you stage dive, so when you stage dive, I'm gonna say they catch you. I don't think there's I think that's what happens, and I think they I think you stage dive, and I think some of them hoist you up so that you can be hoist you up so that you're higher than the rest of the pit. And I think the lead singer of the Vixens, she's singing and she points at you, and there's a eruptive cheer from the crowd as someone wearing a bootleg Roadkill Vixen's t-shirt is being carried around the mosh pit, and then presumably someone who hadn't really been paying full attention slams into the person that's carrying you. And I don't say you fall, but then you fall, but you don't you fall, but you land on your feet.
We find out what's really at the bottom of this mosh pit.
Yeah, exactly. Which is the linoleum floor of the VFW Hall.
It's too early to be too disgusting at this stage.
It's not terrible. It's not terrible yet. It will be far more terrible in about an hour. JC, let's see. JC, what are you doing?
JC's just enjoying the show. He's rocking out. He's not going moshing, but he's like, yeah, yeah, just
Awesome.
jumping up and down with the beat.
So we are starting. To run out of time. So let's. I'm having fun with this. I'd love to let the scene roll out a little more, but I do have a hard stop. What do we want our final scene to be? I'll just so I have a couple of ideas. One is I was thinking that maybe when P.U.K.E 419 is like maybe a few minutes before P.U.K.E 419 was supposed to go on stage, like this is a possibility that your former band members come up, like find Valeria and say, and basically beg you to come back on stage with them because their new bassist is so stoned out of his freaking gourd that he can barely hold his bass, much less play it. That would be one possible thing, and then we could play that out. And if you wanted to, if your demands were to have like Mark and JC also join the band, that would be cool. Or alternatively, another scene we could do would be another scene we could do is the three of you try to convince either the main show or if you went across the street to like convince Fuck Truck that the three of you are a band that deserves to be heard, and to like put on your very first show, or something else. I just like I'd like to end with like some kind of scene like that. Does that sound good to you? Any of those appeal? Does anyone have another idea?
I think we seen JC have a moment of awesome yet? Because I think we probably want to see him get up on stage or something, right?
I was gonna say I think JC's moment of awesome was I think the one scene we've had with JC was stealing the hand stamps that cut you all in, and maybe like leading you, got it, like led you all in. But I did have to hard frame it because we were getting a little low on time. I'll leave it up to you. Is there some other like final dramatic scene that we want to kind of hard frame and just go and have that, and then that'll be our end?
Ooh, I got an idea.
Please.
So that band that what is it?
The band that you liked?
The public urination.
Oh, okay.
When they get on stage, they are booed so hard because they've never ever played a gig before. No one knows who they are. Everyone knows it was an inside job that got them on stage.
Yeah. Uterine hypnosis.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uterine hypnosis. So immediately when they come on stage, they are booed out.
They're booed off stage.
Yeah. And then there's just like silence because, well,
the next band wasn't ready to go on yet.
Yeah.
There's this...
like, what do we fill this empty silence with? So JC like looks to the other two and is like, this is our chance, guys. We gotta get on stage.
So all we're missing is a drummer, and maybe I can drag, because P.U.K.E 419 aren't on till like second last, so we can drag Devin in to join us.
Oh yeah, Devin, you're still mostly on good terms with Devin, so you're able to drag Devin. Yeah, you can grab. Yeah, Devin happens to be right there after uterine hypnosis gets literally booed off stage, and like people are throwing empty beer cans at them, maybe even a few full beer cans at them, and they're booed because they know that. So they leave the stage, and the three of you plus Devin get on stage. I'm gonna just say, JC. I'm gonna say that. Oh God, what was your Timothy? Timothy did show up with your guitar at some point, so you've got your guitar. Valeria, you said you'd already brought. I'm sorry. Did I interrupt?
Thomas.
Thomas, excuse me. I knew they were named after apostles. I picked that started with the letter T, and I picked the wrong one. So yeah, Thomas comes in with your guitar. Valeria, you got yours. You've had your bass all along. Devin hops up on stage with you, and Mark, you take the microphone. And yeah, let's and you play a gig. You play your first gig. You've never even practiced before, but hey, how hard can this be, right? I want to.
Do we need to see if we shit the bed? You know,
I was going to say, I think we need to have a. I think we need to have a shit the bed roll. You know what? Why don't all three of you roll? Let's have all three of you each roll shit the bed, and then we'll kind of we'll just kind of see how that goes, and we'll have you describe the final scene colored by these rolls, if that's okay with that sound good to folks? Awesome. So let's or alternatively, one of you can just say no, I like the first one. I don't want to second guess myself. So yeah, let's everyone roll with flesh, and let's see how that goes. Okay, so we got an 8 from JC. I'm sorry,
A 10 from Mark.
So we got a 10 from Mark. And was that
an 8 from me as well?
And an 8. Okay, so we have two full. So we've got an 8, 10, and an 8. So on the whole, yeah. So yeah, I'm going to say on the whole, you're a little rough because this is literally the first time you've ever played. But you guys sound remarkably well. And once you get the stage, everyone was like, "Hey, it's Tank Guy!" And like Tank Guy, Tank Guy, Tank Guy, which is I guess now the name of your band. Yeah, you play a couple. Oh, tanks, but no tanks. I love it. So the band is shouting tank guy, tank guy, tank guy. JC grabs the mic and say, "Hey everyone, we're tanks but no tanks." And this is our first gig ever. Crowd erupts, and you I guess you pick like a really classic punk song that pick a really classic punk song that literally has 2 chords, because I've got one in mind, but you know it's a punk song that everyone knows. If someone has a better idea, go for it. Otherwise, you play the Ramones classic Blitzkrieg bop. Hey ho, let's go. That sound good? Or if you got a better idea, that's also cool. And I think the camera pans back of the 4 of you on stage, doing a pretty decent rendition of Hey Ho, Let's Go, Blitzkrieg Bop by the Ramones. The camera pulls back. You end it, and it's like Blitzkrieg Bop, and then there's and then it freeze frame, roll credits. So that was Punk's Been Dead Since '79. I've never played this game before, so I was still getting a little used to the rules, but I enjoyed it. I'm actually interested in seeing and learning more about these characters at some point, but I think this is a great. I really enjoyed this.
I don't know if we have time for a super quick epilogue of each of the characters, how they develop.
I was going to say I like that idea. Yeah, let's go through and just do a quick epilogue. Let's do it this way. So let's say, so Valeria, why don't you give us just a really quick, give us a really quick scene of what happens at the end of this night. So the Battle of the Bands is over. A winner has been announced. Who is the winner? What happens at the end of this show from Valeria's perspective?
I think, if we lean into the idea of earlier, when P.U.K.E 419 come calling, she gives them a finger and then recruits Devon into Tanks But No Tanks. And, I think we see them piling into Thomas's Audi with like his drum kit, or with Devon's drum kit in the trunk. And yeah.
I see this. I see the Audi driving off, the three, like JC's riding shotgun. The three of you are in the back seat. Drum kit's in the back, and I see that the trunk is up because you can't fit a full drum set in the trunk of an Audi. So the trunk is up and it's like bungee corded down, and you're driving away. And
every time there's a bump in the road, we get a nice top hat action, right?
I love it. And you snap the radio on, and like it's 98. You're listening to 98.7 The Pipe, and we've just concluded the Northwest Ohio Battle of the Bands, and the winner this year was hold on, where's my list of band names? The winner this year was up and comer Nancy Reagan's Wig, but I do have to give a special shout out to the new band Tanks But No Tanks, who really stole the show. I think we're going to see great things from them. Now for a word from our sponsors. It is a week later. Mark, would you give us a little scene of what of what's going on in Mark's and/or the rest of the band's life a week later?
Right, back to normal life. Mark still needs to go to school and needs to meet the same old friends turned enemies, at school, in class or at recess, and he notices that actually they were coming to him and exchanging more words, and he became a bit more popular at school. And these former friends start talking to him again and not picking on him or not insulting him anymore. And for him it's okay, but he will just go hang out with his new friends instead of his old band. In the end, this story is kind of like rewarding bad behavior on his part, but that's how it goes.
Yeah, that happens sometimes. That happens sometimes. Cool. And Tori, let's I'm going to say it's 3 months later. So let's see. So if you want to give us a perspective of what's happening with JC 3 months later, this can be by yourself, or if you want to include the other characters, that's cool too. And that's going to be basically where we end the game.
So Tanks But No Tanks started getting
You got the robot voice thing going again.
How's it now?
You're good. All right. So Tanks But No Tanks has started getting some popularity, and some record labels have started coming to us, but we've denied them, saying we don't want to be part of corporate media. So if an independent label, maybe, but these guys have been, you know, part of the problem, they're part of the system, the establishment. So we're holding out for something independent, or maybe we'll produce ourselves. But we're practicing and, you know, becoming really good friends, and we've started gathering a following of like hardcore fans that you know, follow us around and support us. So you know, we have a community now.
I love it. I love it. And I think we'll end on you know, maybe you're in a and maybe we'll end on our like, and we'll like as the credits roll, so that's how it ended. But there's a short post-credit sequence that I'm gonna add, and that is the four of you are in a recording studio. Camera goes back to like, you know, a couple of engineers, and you know, there's a label over the top that says Dumpster Fire Records, which is a tiny little record label out of Columbus, Ohio, that mostly does and yeah, they are primarily they're a tiny little punk band label, and you are in the recording studio to record your first EP. And that's Punk's Been Dead Since '79. This is super fun, folks. Thank you so much. We are at time. Do folks have 5 minutes to do? I like to do a little debrief at the end of these. Cool. I like to do a little debrief after this, but debriefs like that are for us. So I am going to I'm going to stop the recording, and then we can go through a little exercise called Stars and Wishes. But that's for us. So if anyone who was watching us, thank you so much. Thanks for watching. This has been Punk's Been Dead Since '79, and have a great day, folks.